Hello, folks, and welcome to a special edition of 10-Minute Strategy. This is Peter Propp, KnockMedia, along with Nate Berger, founder and president of KnockMedia. And we have been working a lot in the area of Figma applications. Figma as a critical tool in our arsenal to help us solve our customers' problems and build amazing digital products. So we want to help people understand a topic that we're calling Figma to launch. And so, Nate, the first question I want to pose to you is just ask you to talk about Figma and why it's such a powerful tool for companies building digital platforms.
Sure thing. No, it's very buzzworthy now. It's very trendy. If you're on LinkedIn, for example, you'll see posts probably every day on new launches from Figma. They've got new partnerships, and they're really trying to embed it into workflow process, meaning it actually creates code or it interfaces with your other programs to create code. So it's getting really advanced, and we've been using it now for, I think it's a little over 3 years now. So I would consider us professional users of the tool, and I'll explain high level what I view as the important parts of it. I mean, we really use it for a bunch of different things. So it's a versatile design tool. And when we're starting to plan experiences, for example, if we're creating a new website or a new app, we use it to create wireframes, journey maps to really figure out what the technical stack is going to be. So that's pre-design stuff. We're doing planning in it, using it as a blueprint doc, so to speak. And then once we actually start designing something, all of the design happens in Figma. We're able to share with the client in Figma. And you had mentioned where you can take it a bit further, right? You can show some interactivity in Figma. It's not just a static design review. It really takes it to the next level. So if I had to, in a word, I would say versatility for what we do and being able to show ideas and vet ideas. It's such a versatile tool. It's really great.
Yeah, I would add two more adjectives to talk about Figma
Mhm.
or value propositions. One is collaboration, because the way we're able to collaborate with our designers, especially at crunch time, when something has to be out in a couple hours, we can be in the Figma file watching our designer make those really important changes, and then text them and say, "Oh no, it shouldn't be blue; it should be green." Or obviously more sophisticated than that, but to give feedback in real time to that designer, they might not love it, but it allows us to really accelerate our cycle times. Um,
Even with the customers too, the same kind of comment. If a customer is comfortable in Figma, and we're able to do that collaboration where they're reviewing something, and to your point, you could do comments in the document. So our designer, our art director, and our client are all collaborating in real time on the canvas. It's the most ideal way to be communicating.
one other point I'll make is as a business user who does not have a design background, I've been trained. It didn't take very long to leverage templates that our designers have built for us. In fact, the bumpers that you
That's
see at the
great.
beginning and the end of every one of our 10-minute strategy files are really professional. All I have to do is change the title of the talk and the person I'm interviewing, and create a new file. It turns into a .png in a second, and it's done. And I'm not doing anything sophisticated. I might change the font if someone's got a really long name or something, but it's a very, very easy product for a business user to use, with a small learning curve.
I agree. There is a learning curve there, but you make a really good point in that it's not just it's mentioning sites or apps, that kind of design. You could be making a cover slide for a book or a presentation, and you create those templates in there where you're just going in there and editing that text. That's a really quick way to use an asset that's already created, that already looks good. And you're right, the export out of Figma is one click, one tap, and you've got a PNG on your desktop.
So let's talk about this idea we've been working on. We've actually done a lot of these. It's called a Figma prototype. So I'm going to leave you to define it, and then I'll chip in with my own version of the words.
All right, well, I'll start. It's in fact a prototype, so a very early version of, let's say you're creating a new site or a new app, and you want to start to show someone, an investor, an associate, what it is that you're trying to accomplish. In Figma, you can create a sequence of screens and then link them up together. So it is essentially a prototype where you could pull up that link in Figma on your smartphone, on your desktop, and quite literally tap around. So it looks like an early version of the app or the site. It's the real design. You're able to go from screen to screen on your device. So you're getting a bit of that functionality, but it's a prototype. It's the step before an MVP, right? We haven't built anything, we haven't coded anything. It's truly just a file in Figma at that point. But you're able to show, as a prototype will, what you're intending to do with the app or with the site. So it's a great exercise and a great tool.
Yeah, I mean, we love to make sure our clientele really know and have thought about every single interaction within the digital platforms they're building. And with Figma and with this prototyping feature, it's really good because if you press on a button that no one knows where it's supposed to go and it doesn't go anywhere, well, you either need to figure out where it goes or you need to get rid of the button entirely. So it really is a forcing function that allows a business leader to say, that's not the most important thing. If I had needed that, I would have told you where it goes already, right? So now we can
Yep.
get rid of functionality. Or, if I need to add another page where it's going to go, where X is going to happen, then I just go and build it. It really forces you to think about, what your end user needs.
In identifying those gaps, what you're saying is once you've laid out a sequence of screens, you can clearly see what's missing if there is something missing, and then you can add it. So laying things out and seeing what you have also allows you to see what you're missing, what you don't have. And that exercise, again, like we've been saying here, if you're doing that in Figma in a prototype scene, it's very easy to update, to change, to iterate, and to improve.
Um, so this sort of leads from that last question, but can you talk about how a Figma prototype unlocks the details of a product plan and can lead to blueprints or a tech spec or the dev plan?
It's really the first part of that. I mean, I wouldn't consider what I did in Figma as an MVP, a minimum viable product. Although you could probably make that argument. I would consider it the step before that. So I'm using Figma to vet my ideas on the UI, the user interface. I am planning my user experience, that is how I'm getting from screen to screen, what I'm seeing there. And you had mentioned tech stack. I'm also thinking about what technologies that I'm going to use here. So I can figure out what I need to buy, how much it's going to cost, how it's all going to fit together. All of those things I just rattled off are really important as parts of the blueprint of what I'm going to do to actually create this. But I haven't created it, at least in my mind. I haven't created it. Do you see it differently? Do you see it something in Figma as being a tangible MVP?
No, no, no. I misspoke. Prototype is what I meant when I said that. But the point is that when you're building a prototype in Figma, part of the exercise, in my mind at least, is I need to take this and it's got to get built, right? So, okay, I've got every interaction figured out. That's great. But what's needed? What's my database? What's my e-commerce function? How am I doing labeling? How, whatever it might be that you need to build that you think you know what it's going to do in Figma, but you might not have thought about the development hours yet required to build something from scratch, or what's needed to take it from, I need that functionality. Here's my three potential vendors. I can have my dev team explore which of those vendors it's going to be. Oh, it's going to be this one. So now we can work with our customer and say, this is the actual detailed development plan. I wouldn't be able to get there, I don't think, as easily without a Figma prototype where I've laid it all out. I know what the experience is going to be. And then I need to take that final completed prototyping. And then I build my dev plan and my tech stack and my blueprints to make it a reality.
Yeah, I agree with that. You're doing all of your planning in Figma, but then you're prompting some really important questions about how I'm going to build this and what technologies I'm going to use, that sort of thing. And at that point, you've got your developers weighing in too, right? It's a very collaborative process where all members of the project team are involved and can give their input. That's what we really need. You can design something beautiful, but you need the developers there side by side to make sure that what you're planning is doable and makes sense.
Fantastic. Well, Nate, it's been another very, very fast 10 minutes on 10-minute strategy. So I hope the people have enjoyed hearing our conversation. And if you have any questions about Figma or about building digital products, I hope you'll reach out to us at KnockMedia.
Great talking with you, Peter.
Thanks, Nate. Have a great day.
Thank you.
My reactions are my own affair. A body likes to be